Good morning, YouTube. Today we have Danny Pasula, and he'll be profiling his pre-July Blue Eyes.
Before we get into it, I do gotta say there are a couple proxies in here because I haven't been able to buy cards yet. But thanks to Darren, AJ, and I believe Garrett, they were able to help me get at least 90% of the deck, 95%. So there's just a couple cards missing that I'll be able to pick up once I actually start getting paid for my new job. So that's why there's a couple proxies in here. And then at the end of the profile, I'll tell what changes are going to be made once July actually comes. So let's get into it. So for Blue Eyes, we need to run 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. I usually kind of change the artwork up depending on how I'm feeling that day. And then we do play only 2 Spirit Dragons. You could play, or Dragon Spirits. You could play 3 if you really wanted to, but I think 2 is just kind of perfect because it does clog just a bit. But if you don't know what it does, essentially, as soon as it's special summoned, it targets any spell or trap card the opponent controls and can banish it. And if your opponent has a monster during either player's turn, you contribute it to special summon Blue Eyes from your hand. So there's a lot of really cool plays that you can do with this, a lot of cool timing things that you can do with this. And it's another level 8 dragon, and it's really, really good. For the last of the dragons, we do play 3 of the new stone. These are the 2 proxies, and we do play 2 of the old stone. Essentially just more dragon tuners, more dragons in general, and this thing does add Blue Eyes to the hand. It's good every now and then for getting like trade-in plays and stuff, but for the most part, he's not really like the best one. This is like the best stone, because this thing, whenever it's in the graveyard, if it stays in the graveyard by the end phase, you can special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, which this one also counts as a Blue Eyes monster no matter where it is. And you could banish it from your graveyard to add a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard to your hand. That's what he does. For the spellcasters, we do run 3 of the Sage. This is probably the most important one. Essentially, he is a Rhoda, or you summon it, and you essentially get any tuner, level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, so you could run Veiler if you really wanted to. Or you could discard it, target a level 1 spellcaster on the field, and if it resolves, you send that target to the graveyard to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So that's pretty cool. And then we also play 2 Maidens. Maiden is very important still in the deck, but I think only 2, because she does get kind of cloggy. She doesn't have any immediate effects as soon as you summon her, and that's why I think she's mostly just good at 2 right now. But she's still very important to the deck, and very good top deck card. And then for now, I am running 1 Master. Essentially what you do is whenever he's summoned, you get to add any of your level 1 light tuners from your graveyard to your hand, or if he's in the graveyard, you could target any of your level 1 light tuners on the field, or any effect monster on the field, and send that to the graveyard. When it resolves, shuffle this back into the deck, and special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard. So that's why he's pretty good for this variant. That's it for the monsters. It's pretty small for a monster lineup. For the spells, which is essentially the rest of the deck, we do run 3 Silver's Cry. This is more important than ever before right now because just of how many monsters we can actually summon off this thing. We could also summon the Dragon Spirit because in the graveyard and hand he counts as a normal monster without being a Gemini, so that's why he's really good with this. And then for pre-July, we are running 3 Swing of Memories. I've seen people run 2 of this or 2 of that. I think this is very important at 3 because being able to just bring back monsters from the graveyard is very, very important, especially in the late game. And this also just makes your plays just kind of go off. And to kind of assist with the Reborn cards, we do play 3 Dragon Shrine. I've seen people run 2 or 1. I think this is very important at 3, just being able to dump your dragons back into the graveyard. Essentially, it's a Foolish Burial for 2 dragons because you send a normal one, and then you can send another one. So it's really good for setting up stone plays. For the kind of essential draw power of the deck, we do play 3 trade-ins. We have 5 targets for it, and we do play 2 Cards of Consonance, which we also have 5 targets for. This is the most cloggy one, in my opinion, because you can always receive your level 8s, because there's always ways of getting them, but you can never really find your stones a lot of the time. So that's why this is the most cloggy. And I dislike this one the most, but I think it's still very important. But this is your essential draw power, and a primary area of the consistency minus the Dragon Shrines. For a little extra consistency, the 2 ofs, I do play 2 Arthals. This is one way we get to our tuners really fast. This is a really nice play with like this and Maiden, or like this and the Sage, essentially. So that's why I really like this. But beware, if you do not normal summon the monster that you grab with this, you will take 2,000 damage at the end of the phase. So you gotta be wary of that. 2 mausoleums. Essentially, this is the replacement for Forbidden Lance, as well as it is also a Foolish Burial, because you essentially target any of your level 1, any of your effect monsters on the field, and then you send a normal dragon from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then it gains 100 attack by its level. So that's why that's pretty good. Essentially, just target Maiden and send it. So that's why that's really good. Then for the one-offs, I do play the 1 Terraforming to essentially search the mausoleum, but only 1. I do play 1 Beacon of Light. This is essentially another Reborn card. This is a really good late-game card. Essentially, if you don't control one, you can summon this card. You can play this card, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard. Its effect is negated, and if this card leaves the field, you banish it. But for every Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard, it gains that many attacks. So essentially with this, late game, if all your Blue Eyes monsters are in the graveyard, you essentially just summon out Blue Eyes White Dragon, and this thing can essentially just win you game because it gets all the attacks. This is really, really good. Red Geki, because essentially you just want to clear boards. I think it's just a little bit better than the Burst Stream of Destruction just because it's not conditional in any way. Soul Charge is probably one of the other most important cards of the deck just because even if you see it like first turn, being able to establish a board with like 2 Spirit Dragons is really, really, really good. Just an extra Foolish Burial to more dump cards essentially, and Upstart Goblin because we just have the space and we just want to play it.
Where's the other 2?
Oh, it's limited. That's the deck. It's 40 cards. For the extra deck, we are playing 1 Twin Burst. This thing is super cool because essentially you can contact fuse this thing with 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, not Blue Eyes monsters unfortunately, but it gets 2 attacks on monsters, and it can't be destroyed by battle, and whatever it attacks at the end of damage step, you can banish the thing you attacked if it didn't die. So essentially, since it happens at damage step, still they can't use any effects that don't change attack and defense values. So that's why he's really, really good. For the synchros, I am playing 2 Spirit Dragons. I only have the 1 right now. I'm gonna pick up another one sometime. This is the other proxy, one of the other proxies, and he's really good because essentially during either player's turn, you can tribute this thing off to special summon any light dragon synchro from your extra deck. So that's really, really good. And then while he's on the field, neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters in 1 summon. And then also during either player's turn, when an effect would activate in the graveyard once a turn, you can negate it. So that's really, really good. Helps you out with the Monarch and Burning Abyss matchup. And then we also play 2 Azure Eyes to accommodate the 2 Spirit Dragons. You only need 2. I've seen people run 3 and 2, or like 2 and 3. I just like the 2 and 2 ratio. I think you only need 2 and 2. If you don't know what it does, just in case, whenever it's summoned that turn until the next end phase, dragon type monsters you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And then during every standby phase, you can special summon a normal monster a normal dragon from your graveyard. So essentially, you can just bring back the Dragon Spirit of White, which is really, really good. For another synchro, I do play Cloud Castle. Whenever this thing is summoned, you can special summon any of your level 9 synchros from the graveyard. So it's really good for essentially getting back Spirit Dragon or getting back Azure Eyes if you run out. So that's why I really like him. And then I am playing 1 Michael because you can essentially tribute off the Spirit Dragon, bring this out, and then banish one of your opponent's problem monsters. And then what we do is go into Stardust Dragon with our level 1 tuner. Eventually I might change this to Crystal Wing, but this is really cool because if you have a Spirit Dragon on the field, a second one in addition to this, you can synchro into this and essentially have another form of protection in addition to the Spirit Dragon. So that's why I really, really like it. That's it for the synchros. For the XYZs, I've been toggling between 2 engines that I really wanted to do. There's the Spider engine, or there is the Galaxy Eyes engine. This is just gonna be any miscellaneous Galaxy Eyes. That's the last of the proxies. I'm probably just gonna get Galaxy Eyes Tachyon or Galaxy Eyes Photon, but it doesn't really matter which one it is because you're just gonna go into this and dump 3 dragons from your deck into the graveyard and make your opponent banish. This is kind of the one I've really been liking mostly just because I think it's better for dragons, kind of as a whole, and that's why I like it. And then I played number 46 Dragulon. As soon as we get Alternative Dragon, this is going to be really clutch. Because this thing can, if it's the only monster in the field, you could either special summon a dragon from your hand, you can take control of one of your opponent's dragons, or you can negate all your opponent's dragons until like the end of their next turn, I do believe. And that's going to be really good. It's also really, really good against the Draco Pile matchup. Just take their Ignister and use their own Ignister against them. One Felgrand, because it is Felgrand. Negating effects is great. I still play Heliopolys, because Heliopolys is just like really, really good. Being able to clear fields non-targetably is just really, really good in my opinion. And then we play Alcei. Thanks to AJ for helping me get my hands on this. Essentially, what I could do is I can call any card from my deck, and if it's the wrong one, it gets sent to the graveyard, and if not, it gets added to my hand. So you'll essentially just like call Blue Eyes. It excavates it, yeah. And you just call Blue Eyes, and if it's not Blue Eyes, then it either gets sent to the graveyard or not. Which you'll most likely want your Blue Eyes to the graveyard. But you could also detach a material, target one of your monsters, and either put it on the top of their deck or the bottom of their deck, which is really, really nice. It's essentially a level 8 Castel, and that's why I really like it. And then for the last of the XYZs, we do play Thunder End Dragon, because he's a non-targeting destruction of everything for 2 Blue Eyes monsters, and this card could come in really handy as well if you need this over Twin Burst, and I really, really like Thunder End Dragon. That's it for the pre-July variant of Blue Eyes. A couple of the changes that we're definitely going to be making when July hits is we're going to be getting 3 Alternative Dragons, we're going to be getting 3 Gospels, which is coming up very, very soon, and we're also going to put back in 2 of the Melody of Awakening Dragons. Just a few of the changes. We're obviously going to be dropping the Upstart Goblin because the deck doesn't really need it. Probably either Beacon or Raigeki, things like that. Swing of Memories is going to be swapped out for the Gospel Revivals. And then we're going to be swapping out Master and the 2 Whitestone of Legends for the Alternative Dragons. But we'll profile that later after July, when July comes. So thank you very much.